my name is Ellie. Welcome back to my channel. I lived in London for a year for the past 12 months and I loved living in the city, and while I was there I had a bunch of friends ask me, what should I do in London? Where should I eat? What should I get coffee? What is there to do on a rainy day? And having advised a bunch of friends on this, I thought I would make a video since I have compiled a list of all the best things to do, see, and eat in London. This footage has been compiled over the last year, so it's so much information in one go. So I've split this video up into several sections. This first one is going to be about outdoor activities that you can do in London, but keep your eyes peeled for indoor activities, for places to eat and places to get coffee. I hope that this series is very helpful to you if you are planning on visiting London soon. I know I enjoyed living in the city so much. I miss it kind of a lot. And I'm just gonna live vicariously through this footage. The first sentence you might hear when people are talking about London is, oh my god, there's so much to do. And there is so much to do. It's so true. I didn't really understand what people meant when saying this before I moved there, but having lived there now, I totally get it. There is so much to do, and because of that, it can be kind of hard to decide what you should do when you're a tourist, because of course you can't do everything. London is situated relatively north-ish in Europe, so it's not always the warmest place, and outdoor activities can be kind of tricky in the colder months, but I want to highlight things that you can do both in the summer and winter months in this video. So one of the first places on this outdoor list is Hampstead Heath, which is one of my favorite overall places to be in London. It's basically a huge park area situated in North London. You can get there really easily on public transport, and it's so worth going. I would literally live there if I could. In the summer months, it turns into this beautiful golden field area. There's places you can do outdoor swimming in the lakes there. You can have picnics. It's a really popular place to go, but it never really feels that crowded because the area is so vast that you can always find a place without people. Another fun place to go is Columbia Road Flower Market, which again is a very popular choice. It happens every Sunday and it starts I think at about 9 a.m. and goes to about 2 p.m. I would recommend going either super early or super late in the day. Go super early if you want to avoid the crowds and see the flowers before they've been rummaged through, and go really late in the day if you're looking for a deal for cheap flowers. If you go at about 1:30 p.m., the stalls are starting to close up and you can get away getting the flowers for super cheap. So if you actually live in London or are staying there for a longer time, I highly recommend going later. In general, the Columbia Road area is really pretty. There's a lot of cafes and food and other things to do around there, so you can make a whole day of it. I'll go into that in a future video. So for one more sort of overhyped choice, I wanted to mention Camden Food Market. This is located in Camden, which is quite a popular neighborhood anyway for tourists. I think Camden is kind of overrun and it's not a place that I tend to go that often, but I do think that the food market is a really fun thing to do and see while you're in London. They have really good street food options. It's basically a huge area with a bunch of stalls where you can grab any type of food. I think it's even called the World Food Market because it's meant to be sort of international. There's a bunch of good vegan food options as well. I would not recommend going on the weekend if you can help it because it gets really crowded, but it is just a really fun thing to do. Similar to Camden Market, there is Borough Market, which is quite well known. I only went once while I was in London and I did enjoy it due to the interesting architecture that Borough Market is in. It's sort of in these underground tunnel type things. If you only have the chance to go to one market, I think I personally prefer Camden Food Market over Borough Market, and having said that, there are a ton of similar food markets, so there's really no need to go to Camden or Borough Market. I think my favorite is actually Mercato Mayfair, which is a market located, as it says, in Mayfair. Though also quite popular, it is less crowded than the other two I mentioned. It's inside an old church, so it has it's just a really beautiful place to see in general. They have some fun food options. I recommend going here to grab a drink and sitting up in the terrace upstairs, which you find by going up the windy staircase, and then you can walk around Mayfair before or after, which is a pretty neighborhood as well. Another one of my favorite things to do in the outdoors in London is Kew Gardens. Located actually a little bit outside of the center in the part of town called Kew, which you can get to quite easily on the train in about an hour, a bit under an hour from central London. This is basically a huge botanical garden slash park museum. They also have a couple smaller museums on site, like a house where King George lived at some point while he was sick with Queen Charlotte. It's a really interesting tiny museum on site, and beyond that, just beautiful gardens, parks to walk through, have a bunch of giant greenhouses. I went there once and I literally could have spent the whole day there. They do charge admission. I think it was about £9 for students, but it was honestly really worth seeing once. And because it's a bit outside of London, it didn't feel crowded at all. They do recommend reserving it in advance, especially on weekend days. But yeah, if you can plan ahead and go, definitely worth seeing while you're in London. Another garden to go see is Chelsea Physic Garden. Located in Chelsea, this place is basically another old museum that was used by the hospital back in the day. So there's a bunch of medicinal herbs grown in this garden, and there's signs next to all the bushes that explain what the plant was used for and what sicknesses it was used to treat. It's really interesting and informative and just really beautiful and quaint. It was, again, super uncrowded the day I was there. They do charge admission, though it wasn't much, and totally worth it. They also have a gorgeous on-site cafe where I stayed and studied on my laptop for a while, and it was mostly grandmas and their grandchildren sort of out for the day. It seemed also, I think it would be such a nice place to get married. Just such a beautiful place, and again, it's located in like Chelsea, Kensington area, so a nice place to walk around before or after as well. Other than going somewhere in particular, I recommend just walking around London. This is so free, easy to do. There are so many gorgeous neighborhoods in London. It's honestly such an aesthetically pleasing city with so much going on, even if you don't go inside anywhere. One of my favorite walks to do is to start in Islington Angel area and make your way down to the Regent's Canal and then walk along the canal path. It's called the towpath, and snake your way all the way down to Broadway Market. You just follow the canal until you reach Broadway Market. Broadway Market is a really fun street that has a market on the weekends, and even when the market isn't on, that street is lined with really cute shops and restaurants and everything. There's a couple good pubs as well, and it's always just, it seems like it's always sunny on Broadway Market. So that once you've been to Broadway Market, you can cross down the roads down towards Columbia Road, get some flowers at Columbia Road if it's Sunday, and then head to Brick Lane, which is not too far off, down into Shoreditch, get some bagels at Bagel Bake, and then walk back through the shopping streets, hit Red Shirt Streets that has lots of nice stores in my opinion, walk into some of those cute stores, and then head back up into Islington. That's just a really nice loop walk. It takes about an hour each direction at least, so like a 3-hour loop I would say. Does take all morning, totally worth doing, especially if you have the time. And there's also a bunch of good brunch places in Shoreditch if you wanted to like actually stop and have a full meal. Or of course you could have a pub lunch somewhere along the way. Another good place to walk is Chinatown. Very popular, really cool, especially at night. I think Chinatown is worth doing at night. I wouldn't go on the weekends if you can help it, as it's really crowded, but going to grab some bubble tea, some dumplings. Most of the restaurants are kind of the same there. The Si Woo supermarket is really cool and fun if you're buying groceries or even just to see what's on the shelves. Yeah, highly recommend London Chinatown. My last tip is to check the university event pages. So of course London has a bunch of big universities that actually run a lot of free events that aren't always restricted to students. So if you're there, check those pages and check Eventbrite as well and see what's going on. There's always a concert or a painting class, that sort of thing that you could go to. Lastly, I recommend leaving London. Counterintuitively, there are so many cool things to do outside of London, which of course most tourists visiting London never see, including myself. Even though I was there for literally a year, I hardly left the city and I really regret it. There's a bunch of walks that you can do that are just an hour outside of London on the train. For example, another fun thing is to go to the New Forest. I did this with a friend of mine in June. It was so perfect. We went for just one night. We could have done it in a day as well. We stayed in a cute little Airbnb. I'll put up a card here so you can watch that vlog if you want to. I get into everything that we did while we were there, but it was quite an outdoorsy little weekend getaway, which was really fun. You can also go down the coast and go to like the cliffs of Dover, or like places to go swimming or hiking, climbing on the cliffs at the water. There's so many fun places to see in the UK, and I think especially in England, people just tend to stick to London and the bigger cities, but the countryside is really worth seeing there. Since this video is about outdoor things to do in London, I thought I would briefly highlight my favorite parks. I think London's pretty well known for having nice parks, so here are my top like 7. Although I have to say, like, there are so many good parks. So number 1 for me is St. James Park. Pretty central, it's really easily reached and has like a castle in the middle. So if you look out from a certain view in St. James Park, you see this beautiful sort of pond, lake, river thing, and then a castle in the distance. It looks like a fairy tale. I love it. Next one on the list is Green Park, which is right next to St. James and Hyde, and I feel like people don't go there as much as the other two, so it feels a lot more tranquil and just has some nice rolling hills and places to hang out. Number 3, Hyde Park. Especially fall in Hyde Park is really beautiful. There's like leaves everywhere, and it's so big that you can always escape the people. 4 is Victoria Park. Located in East London, it has a bit more of a local vibe, a relaxed feel. So much fun to hang out there for the day. 5 is Gordon Square, which is just a square. So in London you have parks and squares are little patches of green in between like a collection of houses. They are usually publicly available, but some are like private and just belong to the houses in the area, which is like so high class. But Gordon Square is a particularly nice one in Bloomsbury, especially in the spring and summer when everything is blooming. It's usually packed with people, but in a really lovely way that makes you just want to sit in the sun and read a book all day. Seven is Richmond Park. I never actually made it there, but that's the place that has the deer. You've probably seen a bunch of pictures of this before if you've Googled London. Yeah, so they have wild deer, so like why not go there? And then last but not least, Hampstead Heath, as I previously mentioned. This place is so gorgeous, like you have to go, especially in the summer. Thank you for watching this first video in the London series. I hope it was helpful to you and gave you some new ideas of what to see in London. Keep your eyes peeled for future London videos coming up. I hope you're having a great day, whoever you are, wherever you are. Bye!
I'm overjoyed 'cause boy, she's my gal.